right, so going into this offseason, it was crucial for the Bears that they find their next quarterback. And Ryan Pace, the general manager, and Matt Nagy, their head coach, were basically brought back with the whole notion that they were going to be given one more shot to get this quarterback situation fixed, and then that was going to be the basis of whether they'd still stay there or not. And so conventional wisdom is they were going to go heavy after somebody. And of course, we heard their names in the talk for Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson. I think primarily we saw a lot of them in the discussion for Russell Wilson. And that was never going to happen. I mean, the Bears just didn't have enough that would entice the Seahawks to make that pick. Because if the Seahawks were going to trade away Russell Wilson, they needed some type of quarterback in return. And the Bears didn't have that. And the 20th overall pick wasn't going to do it. Even if they gave up this year, the next 2 years, first round picks, the 20th pick is still not going to get you the quarterback to replace Russell Wilson. So it just didn't make much sense, and we saw Russell Wilson isn't going anywhere. So this whole notion of the Bears and the quarterback situation had me thinking that they're going to be very aggressive moving up in the draft. I thought, they didn't get one of the trades. Sam Darnold was kind of one guy that I kind of thought that they'd maybe potentially get, and I thought that was kind of maybe they'd go get him, trade away their second-round pick, and run with Sam Darnold. But I also thought they were going to be super aggressive in the draft. And I kind of, in talking to some people and some Bears fans that I know, I said, to me, I think the Bears are going to strike out on getting the quarterback that they want in a trade, and that's going to lead them to being aggressive in the draft, and they're going to be desperate, and they're going to move all the way up from 20 into the top 5 to get a quarterback, a Justin Fields, Trey Lance, which one of those two guys. Now, the thing that surprised me, and I started hearing it this morning. This morning I started hearing it. Brad Biggs, a Chicago Bears reporter, and I think I saw it on Roto World or NBC Edge. I think that's the new name of it now. That the Bears were a team that was looking on Andy Dalton. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I get it. Bill Lazor is their offensive coordinator. Bill Lazor had success with Andy Dalton in Cincinnati. Whatever. But I didn't really see it because the Bears already have their a backup quarterback in Nick Foles. Nick Foles has signed, to a big contract that the Bears are on the hook for, and I just didn't see that them bringing in Andy Dalton when you already have Nick Foles to be that kind of backup quarterback for them going up in the draft. Well, that all went out the window when the Bears ended up signing Andy Dalton to a 1-year, $10 million contract with incentives that could get it up to 13. And I was really surprised by this move because of the Nick Foles situation, but also they're signing him. They're still negative. They still are not. They don't have cap money. Last time I checked, they were still $20 million negative against the cap. And so you're signing yet another $10 million against that. And so they're going to have to cut some more people, restructure some more contracts, whatever it may be. But you're bringing in another quarterback. So now on their roster, once the league year officially opens and they sign Andy Dalton, your quarterbacks right now are Andy Dalton and Nick Foles. And that's causing a lot of panic for Chicago Bears fans, and I don't blame them. This whole offseason was riding on the Bears finding their future at quarterback, and at best, they got a stopgap. And you maybe say, well, is Andy Dalton an upgrade over Mitchell Trubisky? And I don't think that's an easy yes or no answer. Because as bad as Mitchell Trubisky was, he was still athletic, could still move. Andy Dalton played a lot last year because of Dak Prescott's injury, and he didn't really look that great. He had his moments, and maybe those moments are still better than Mitchell Trubisky, but can you say they were clearly better? I mean, the Bears did go 8-8 with the combination of Trubisky and Nick Foles. Is it going to be any better with Andy Dalton? I don't think it is. And so Yes, Andy Dalton had a nice run at the beginning of his career with the Bengals, but injuries and just getting older, and he hasn't had the same. That's why they had the number 1 overall pick. That's why they drafted Joe Burrow and let Dalton walk, and that's why, I mean, if Dalton was such a good quarterback, would the Cowboys have kept him to be their backup to Dak? So if you're a Bears fan, you cannot be enthused. You cannot be feeling very good with the thought that potentially you're going into the next year with Andy Dalton or Nick Foles as your starting quarterback. Here's a team that was 8-8 with Mitchell Trubisky. 8-8. Made the playoffs, 7th seed. And you thought, hey, if they get like a young quarterback or somebody, they could, at least take that next step and develop this quarterback with a strong defense. But it doesn't look too promising. Now, I don't think the Bears are done at quarterback. Yes, they have Dalton and Nick Foles. I don't think this is going to prevent them from trading up and trying to get that quarterback. And who knows, maybe they don't trade up. Maybe they say, oh, hey, we'll stick at 20, or maybe we'll go in the later rounds. I'm not sold on that quite yet, because I still think they're desperate. And I wonder, and I'm curious if they feel that Andy Dalton is their backup plan. Maybe they are going in and saying, hey, trading up from 20 into the top 10 is going to be quite a bit. And we need a fallback plan in case this doesn't work. And maybe they just felt that Andy Dalton was the best potential fallback plan if they can't make a move. So what if they try to go up and they just can't work it? Someone beats them. The Panthers move up into the 3rd pick to take Justin Fields. Now they got to move up to get Trey Lance. Well, there's other teams moving up, and maybe they're trying and they're working hard, but they just don't have enough to offer that maybe some of these other teams are. So rather than being left at the altar with just Nick Foles, at least they have Andy Dalton. I mean, that's just kind of a thought. A couple years, we think about Ryan Pace and the Bears. When they drafted Mitchell Trubisky earlier that offseason, they did sign Mike Glennon, and the notion was, oh, hey, they signed Mike Glennon, he's going to be their quarterback. Well, then they ended up trading up and getting Trubisky, and Glennon was kind of used as that bridge quarterback. I think this is the similar thing, and I think Bears fans, they're rightfully going to be upset. I've seen some Bears fans wanting to put their name in the transfer portal to get a new favorite NFL team. Just be patient. Wait for the draft to happen. I know it's frustrating, but be patient. I think the Bears, they're not done yet. They'll be anxious to see. I would hope, if I'm a Bears fan, that they move in to get one of those top 4 quarterbacks. I know Mac Jones is mocked to them quite a bit. I don't think that's what they want for their quarterback. I don't think they wait till day 2 and pick someone. I still think they're going to be super aggressive. Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, question them all you want. They know that they need to get this quarterback situation fixed. And I guarantee they're not saying, oh, hey, we're done. We got Andy Dalton. We're good. I don't think so. So keep an eye on it. Watch what they do with the draft. And like I said, I don't think they're done.